Welcome, welcome. All right. Let me share my screen. All right, beautiful bosses. Welcome. Tonight, we're talking about how to get your first investment property in the next 90 days. All right. So, if you have been following me, we have been doing the real estate investing for beginners series here. And for the past 2 nights, we've been kind of going over some numbers and showing you that this is real. You can really make six figures. So now you're probably wondering, I need to get me a property. So, how can I do that? Whether this is your first or next property, you could be able to do this in 90 days. All right, you guys. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing I want you to understand when it comes to looking at your property, when you're looking to acquire property, do not go out and just start looking for properties. Please do not do that. Okay. From a real estate professional, please do not do that. The reason why is because you might find something that you really love, only to find out that you cannot qualify for it. Okay, that's the real that you need to understand. Okay, we're not out here just hoping and wishing. We're out here to really make wealth happen. And so you want to think like an investor, and this is a business at the end of the day, because this is you building a system in order to make money and continue to make money. All right. Now, we're going to go ahead and get on this now. Let's go. So, the first thing that you want to do, like I said, you want to consider where you are now. This is the first thing, you guys. If you ever bought a house before, you already know this is the first step. It's the first step. Why? Because if you don't know what you got, you're not going to be able, and I'm sorry, TikTok, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all got to see it backwards. If you go to Punks and Profit on Facebook, you can be able to see this in the right way. All right. Just rock with me and listen. Okay. All right. So, this is the first thing that you're going to have to do. First thing, because if you don't know where your money at, and remember what I keep telling y'all, if you don't know how to count, you're going to mess your money up. And so we're looking to develop a skill. This is a high income paying skill. Once you learn how to be able to acquire investment properties, how to make sure you're making money, this is something you can do over and over and over again, and teach your children and your family to do the same so that it can continue. That is how generational wealth is built. It's built on you applying financial principles, wealth principles, so that you can grow your portfolio, but teaching that to the next one, right? Teaching them how to fish so that you can continue the legacy. That's what we're doing here, okay? Now, when you're looking to pre qualify yourself, I know y'all might say, I can Google this. No, you can't. I'm about to break it down from a lender standpoint. So listen out, because I want you to understand you cannot just go out and get a property and you don't know where you're at financially. All right. So, first of all, we're going to talk about credit. This is a big one, because the myth behind this is that people feel like I have to have a good credit score in order to get a property. That is not true. All right. There are lenders out here that will lend based on no credit. Okay. But if you do want to use your credit, you're going to have more favorable terms, which means that you can borrow more and you can be able to get a lower rate, AKA a lower monthly payment. Because at the end of the day, we're doing this to make money. So if you want to leverage it in a way, then credit doesn't necessarily matter. But if you want to get good terms, then credit does matter. You want to have you want to make sure you have good credit. I don't care where you get your credit up, okay? Because this is also how you get funding, business funding as well. So if you understand that credit, I want y'all to know cash is king, but credit is queen. This is chess moves that we're playing, because you can go checkmate because you got good credit, and you can leverage that and build upon that. You can be able to buy houses with credit cards. You can be, I ain't about to get into it. So credit does matter. You want to know, where do I stand right now? And please do not think that Credit Karma is your actual score, y'all. That is a lie. It is a lie, because you got to understand, Credit Karma is like a marketplace. I love Credit Karma because it at least gives you an overview, but don't really use it as your actual score, because when it gets pulled by a lender, you're going to feel very disappointed, because you're going to say, hold up, this is what it says over here. It says that. But every bureau and every type of lender, whether that's a bank, whether that's a mortgage company, whether that's a auto loan company, they use different type of credit ratings. Okay. So what you see at one place is not created equal at another. And you got to understand that. But you want to at least get an idea. And that idea is going to tell you, okay, if I got horrible credit, and I'm going to tell y'all what horrible credit is from an investor standpoint. Okay. Lenders don't really like to go under 660. This right here, they hate this. Like, when you're here, it's really hard to find stuff at this range. Really hard in terms of getting money from a lender. Okay. I'm just being real. It's kind of hard. They want you to be closer to 700 and up. That's where you're able to really get some good rates. Even if you're at a 680, you can still find some pretty good, decent programs. But you want to have maximum score so you can get maximum benefit. The better your score, the better your rate is going to be, the better your terms are going to be overall, which helps you when you're looking to buy your investment property. That's very important to understand. Now, if you go to a hard money lender, which we have, I hit my hard money lender up quick and be like, hey, how much would this be? You know what? A hard money lender, this is about pretty much about where they're sitting, that they'll give you on a property, right? And that hard money lender is only going to give you, most of the time, just the acquisition. Sometimes they don't even give you the renovation costs. So these are things that I want you to, when you're looking for that investment property and you have a horrible score, you say, well, I'm going with a lender that ain't going to look at my score. Well, my friend, I hope you have the money to back it up, or at least have somebody with some money that can back that up. Because oftentimes, if you do want favorable terms, then that score will be pulled. Okay. Now, just because it's pulled, you're just is what is called a personal guarantor. It's going in your business name. It's not going in your name. So when you look it up in the county records, it's not going to have your name on it on there. It's going to have your business name on it, right? But the loan is backed by a personal guarantor, which is a person. So they want to see, what are you looking like, right? What are you looking like? Because oftentimes, even if you're going for business funding, even with SBA, guess what? They're looking at your finances, how you treat money, how you do things. And so this really matters, because it matters in a sense because it shows that you're financially responsible. It shows that the risk that you carry is you're a minimum risk. The higher your score, it shows the lender that you are at minimum risk. All right. So the next thing that you need to know is your closing costs. You might say, I already know this. I know I got to have the money. Okay, but you got to have the money, but how much money do you have? Because how much money you have is actually going to determine your buying power, how much house you can really buy, right? Because in this is the cost to actually get that house. So usually when you're working with a lender, and depending on that lender, not every lender will give you a renovation budget. But the lenders that do, they give you 100% of your renovation budget, but only a percentage of the actual acquisition price. which is your purchase price, the actual physical building itself, right? So if that's the case, you got to have enough to close. And one thing the lender is going to check up until the day it's time for you to close, they're going to make sure you got that money. A lender will walk away and say, oh, they don't have the money, and close that loan out and move right on their merry way, right? And so sometimes this right here, you can get it from, it doesn't, let's say you don't have no money. We got to get creative, right? You got to get creative with where's the money at? Where's the money? Okay? Because oftentimes you have what is called seasoning, right? Where the lender wants to see that money sitting in the bank for a certain period of time. Now, some lenders don't care. But all of that also plays, all of this really plays into one into the other. Because if a lender see, okay, they got good credit, they're here, they're there, this, we can work it out, right? We can find, we can have more opportunities and options because we have this or we have more money. But if there is no seasoning and there's no money sitting in that account for a certain amount of time, then there's only certain lenders that you can go to. Your goal is to maximize your opportunity to make as much money as you can as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, you got to have these things in place when you're looking for that property. All right. The third thing is actually the cost, right? And when I say the cost, I'm talking about the cost of the home to get it, the closing costs, the renovations. And the biggest thing that that you got to understand when it comes to this is that all of this not only plays into it, but let's say you got a 700 score. Good job. Closing costs, you got 80,000. Right? So this 80,000 is going to be a portion of your acquisition, right? Plus closing costs. Remember what I said? The lender is only going to pay a portion of this property. So you may have to go get 2 or 3 lenders and piggyback off of each other. Like, how can we find this property without using our own money? So where's the money? Somebody got to give you the money, or you got to go get the money, or you have to have the money, right? And so when you're looking for the money, where's the money? Because they're going to ask you, where's the money? This is a basic qualification in order to get a property. Now, some lenders, like I told y'all, some lenders don't, they hard money lenders, they'll say, okay, well, we're going to base it on the collateral, right? But we're not going to give you money for renovations. And there are lenders that do that. So they'll say, well, we'll give you, we obviously know the house has money, right? Because it's an asset. It's an asset. So we know it has the money, but I'm only going to give you a portion of it. I'm not going to sit here and give you all like, no, that's too much risk on me. This is what the lender is saying. So what happens is now you got to go find the rest of the money. So let's say you got a 700 credit score, 80,000, right? And let's say the lender will only lend 100% of your renovation costs and only 65% of the purchase price. Okay, y'all ready to do the math on this? Y'all ready? Let's do some math. Because this is something that you just got to understand, that this is really what happens. Now, this isn't all the numbers, but this is just a quick look at, oh, okay, 80,000 could possibly get me this, okay? I'm not giving you hard numbers. We're not going into anything that would cause me to have to do any disclaimers, APR, anything like that. I'm not going into rates or anything. We're keeping it basic on just numbers, okay? So if they're only giving you 65%, we're going to back it out. Okay. So 80,000 has to cover what? Closing costs and the acquisition. Okay. Let's just say closing costs. Let's just do 65%. And we're going to do a portion of this 80, right? Let's say you got 80, but you only want to use 65%. And then we're going to say closing costs. We're just going to throw a number in here. Taxes, insurance. Also included in closing costs is going to be title fees, lender fees, origination fees. So let's just say we're going to give this a percentage as well. We're going to say, we're going to highball it, and we're going to say 10%. It's going to be 10% of the cost. So that's 75%, y'all. Y'all with me? 75%. Okay. So what is this divided by 75%? 80,000 divided by 75%. You're looking at, which you can actually get a house bigger than this, y'all. Really, really, if I think about it. So 85%. So a portion of that is going to go to the closing costs. So let's just say 40,000 is 65% of it. And then let's just say, because usually with this, I would say that's about $300,000 house. 300K, right? More or less, give or take. Anywhere from 250 to 300,000. Okay? Upwards of, depending on where you at, you might can get away with 4. Now, the smart thing here is, if you got 80,000, are you going to put it in one house or multiple houses? Because you can take 80 and go buy 2 or 3 houses. Or you can take 80,000 and go buy one house. Okay? So y'all remember what I said, all properties aren't created equal. This is what I meant. Y'all see how every day we finding out that there's something that triggers to where, oh, wow, I can go buy $350,000 houses or one $400,000 house. So this is why real estate isn't created equal, but you won't know how much you can get if you don't do your numbers. So before you even go buy anything or start looking, do your numbers. Know what your credit is. Look at your closing costs, right? How much money? Where is the money at? There's different ways that you can acquire properties, but not everybody want to do seller finance. Not everybody want to do subject to, right? So you still got to know where the money at to make it make sense. All right. So pretty much your pre-qualification is determining what you have determines what you get. And that's what this is laying out. Okay. So you got to know what that numbers look, what that looks like. You got to know. All right. So now you know, okay, at least I know I got to do my numbers to find out my investment. And you got to do this for every investment. And rule of thumb, you continue to do it even when you get your investment. You don't stop just because you already acquired it. You got to know your numbers. Don't expect nobody else to know your numbers. Don't expect nobody else to help you. You need to know it. Because like I just told you, this is a high income skill. Once you learn it, you can do it over and over and over again. But you got to be willing to learn it. It's a skill. It's a skill that's going to allow for you to fire your boss. And if you love your job, you already know, stay on it and just collect the check. But you still have the opportunity to walk away when you want to, or work when you want to, or travel when you want to, retire when you want to. So that's what we're looking to do here. Now, after you have pre-qualified yourself, now it's time for the lender to qualify you. This, my friend, is the acquisition process. Okay? During this process, you say, okay, I got all my stuff. I got my money. I know my score around where I'm at. I know what area I'm looking at. I know what I want to do. And you go to the lender, you say, I want to get this house. Right? First of all, you can't some lenders, you can't come to them until you got a purchase agreement. What that means is that if it takes you having a purchase agreement, that means you got to already know your numbers to know yourself that you can actually qualify for that property. So what does that mean for you? That means that you have to know your numbers, and all the lender is doing is checking over what you said you had. And if it does not match up, they will not give you the money. They won't. So, what is the lender looking at? They're looking at location, right? The property itself, potential profit, and risk. Now, the risk part of this is your credit. We just talked about that. Some lenders are willing to take risks with you, some are not. It's just that, and then that's just black and white. Some lenders are willing to do it. So with location, this is based on either the resale or the after repair value, which is AVR, after ARV, okay? ARV. The location is going to determine if you can, how much the resale value is, and or if you're refinancing the after repair value. Please do not, y'all, please do not think you about to get an old house and you basing it off new construction. It ain't happening. That's two different types of houses. New construction, just being built, versus an old house. It's not even the same. It's not built in the same year. It's not built with the same material. And guess what? They're not going to use that. But it does help your value over time, because you know when new builds happen, y'all, all the property values around go up, right? But you cannot compare an old house to a new construction. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'm just going to tell you that now. It's not happening. So don't think, oh, I'm going to go buy this old house and they just built that over there. I know I can get it I know that this house is worth the same as that new construction. It is not. It is not. It's not. So that brings me to my second point, the property. The property, right? So that's where you got to understand, older the house means more problems. Ooh, I'm jacking up these letters. The older the house, the more problems you may have. Why is that? Because the property, think about it. If you have a house that's from the 1940s, I know I'm exaggerating now, 1940s. Man, what are you gonna have to fix? You're gonna have to be looking at plumbing, roof, if that's never been replaced, foundation, possibly asbestos. Ooh, I'm jacking that up. Asbestos. Like, there's gonna be so many variables in that property. that you cannot think that you can compare that to a new construction where somebody can just move in. That alone tells you they're not the same. So an older house also affects what? Your potential profit, right? So if you're buying the house and you're looking to sell it, then you got to make sure it's up to par and somebody actually want to buy it. You can't just think, oh, I'm going to fix this house up. I'm going to slap lipstick on a pig and I'm going to go and sell it. It's not happening. It's not going to happen, right? And if you are keeping it, is it in an area that actually wants to be rented? Somebody actually want to rent it? Because you can't go buy something in the hood and say, oh, I'm going to get top dollar for this. I'm going to put all the finishes in and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make that profit back. So what do you do now? You got to know. And that's why all of this is what the lender is looking at. This is what the lender is thinking. This is how you get your first property in 90 days without all the headache. This is how you do it. Okay? So with that, remember what we said. We said that we've been talking about long-term versus short-term, right? And your long-term versus your short-term is going to determine what we call your exit strategy, okay? That's number 3. Nice little segue, right? Okay. So now the lender is going to ask you, what is your exit strategy? These are things you need to know ahead of time, y'all. You got to know it ahead of time. We're going to talk about it more in the boot camp. We'll go over like you actually mapping out your full-blown strategy. But what I want you to understand, there's only really 2 strategies. You're either going to refinance and rent or sell. Now, what is your long-term versus your short-term strategy? These are your only 2 options: refinance and rent or sell. That's pretty much it. Like, they're going to ask you, what are you going to do with this property after you fix it up? Why are you buying this property? I haven't had no lender not ask me that. Even residential, if you buy your own house, they expect you to live in it for at least a year. You're signing documents that you will live in that house for a year. You will not rent it out. That is in your mortgage clause because you're buying it as a primary, right? So on the commercial side, they're going to ask you, are you refinancing and renting or are you going to sell? What are you going to do? You need to know what you're going to do. Now, if you're building wealth, this is what you're going to do. If you want the money, per se, the active income, then this is the one you're going to do. But this one, you got to pay taxes on. You got to pay capital gains. In order to not pay capital, I put capital 1, y'all. Oh my gosh. Capital gains, not capital 1. Capital gains. You're going to have to pay. Or in order to defer taxes, you're going to have to go find another property. You're going to have to file what is called a 1031 exchange. If you don't know what you're doing, you will lose money. If you don't know what you're doing and you don't file this and you don't file it correctly, you will lose money. This is why you got to be careful. This is why I say you got to know how to count. It matters. Because if you do this wrong, you're going to be paying big time. Okay? So, are you going to sell or are you going to rent and refinance? Now, you can do both, but you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and you buy a property and you think you about to get top dollar because you're going to put top stuff in it, that's not always the case, because guess what? It's going to be based on the market. The market is going to decide if they're going to pay for that price or not. Now, I know if y'all ever look on Zillow or anything like that, what is the one thing that they say? If y'all ever look down on it, what do they say? They said it's either a seller or buyer. When it's a seller market, and definitely during like the pandemic and stuff, seller market, right? People getting top dollar, like fighting wars were happening. It happened in our own subdivision. When I tell y'all houses wasn't lasting for a week on the market, people was like scooping them up like this, right? Scooping them up. That's a seller's market. The demand is so high that the seller drops the price. But what happens when you're in an area that is a buyer's market? That means the buyer drives that price. And let's not even get into the seasons, right? You gotta time that mug right. You gotta make sure, and you can even time it right, and it still won't sell. This is reality that a fix and flipper ain't gonna tell you. I didn't say it's not possible, but this is just reality. If you want to fix and flip, you're playing with the market. To me, that's like stocks. Unless you get a darn good deal, you get a deal that's so good that it don't even matter about the market all the time. But you got to know what you're doing. So that goes all the way back to step one, pre-qualify. Okay? So we're going to focus on this one because this is where the money at. Remember what I showed y'all yesterday? Yesterday I showed you how you can make 6 figures in a year. I took y'all from 0 to 6 figures in a year, 2 years. I just took you to 0 to 6 figures and show you how it was possible, right? Well, if you think about this, if you're going from 0 to 6 figures and you're not trying to pay taxes necessarily, and you know you want to build an income, and you know you want to be able to do the things that you want to do, then this is the way you want to go. Because this is a long-term strategy that pays you today and tomorrow. I know I just spelled that wrong, y'all. Maybe. Oh, Lord Jesus. It pays you today and tomorrow. A long-term strategy. But you got to know what's happening in the market to make sure that this long-term strategy don't turn to a long-term nightmare. And so that's why when you go to a commercial lender and they say, all right, give me your docs, give me that application, you better know your numbers, you better know your market, you better know it, because guess what? The lender, they got enough resources that if you don't know, they gonna know. And they're gonna say, oh yeah, no, you might want to charge $2,000 for rent, but in that area, they only giving out $1,500. They're not going to use yours. They're going to use what the market says. The lender ain't going off your word. Yeah, oh yeah, that lender, oh, okay, they paying you that, but we're going off what's on this appraisal. Because documentation, we want to minimize our risk. That's all the lender is going to do. They want to minimize their risk. And in order for them to do that, they're going to cover their butts. They are going to cover their butts. Because if they're able to minimize their risk and maximize their profits, they're going to do that. And this alone right here, you think you can charge this, but this is really the market. What they're saying is that you lying about something. We're not using your word. We're going by our research. It has happened plenty of times. You might want to charge one thing and decide, oh, I'm about to get this. No, we're going to use this. And sometimes even with short-term rentals, because I know a lot of people may want to do Airbnb, short-term rentals. I feel like with those type of rental properties or investments, if that's what you're looking to do, then you want to buy in an area that is highly desirable where you can get your rents. Do not go buying in an area that ain't nobody buying it, that nobody's coming to. That doesn't make any sense. And you want to do a short-term rental? That don't make any sense. So even though that's where it comes down to you doing your research and being an investor, because this investment, them lenders will take your property like it ain't nothing. Because guess what? They're not gonna let you play with their money. You're not gonna play with their money. Okay? So your exit strategy. The reason why I want this to be the main focus is because this is what builds wealth. It builds income today and wealth tomorrow. Okay? Now, whenever you're looking to get that property in 90 days, okay? Now, you done found out, okay, this is what I got to do to figure out what I can qualify for, right? Y'all got your numbers. You know what your credit need to be. You know where you need to be in terms of your credit. You know where you need to be in terms of, okay, this is how much it's going to cost. Now, please factor in that you got to have some money to start renovations because they have what is called a draw where you're not going to get that money up front. So you got to have a little something. So all of that adds into your costs, even if the lender covers it. Okay. So this is your game plan. All right. Don't sleep on this. You can really make this happen. In the next 30 days, I want to see y'all in my inbox saying, Tashana, I just got pre-qualified. I know what my score is around. And if y'all go on Credit Karma or any other system, I want you to do a plus or minus. Well, minus, more so of a plus. Okay? Because usually it's going to be less. Unfortunately, I tell you that. Minus 20 to 50 points less. If you lose it using Credit Karma or anything like that, 20 to 50 points less. Okay? So that's worst case. I just want y'all to do that because this is where you say, okay, my score is way below 660. And T just told me if it's below 660, then I got some alternatives. I'm going to have less lenders that's willing to take me on. And if I decide not to use my score, I'm going to need more money. Right? And if that's the case, I'm also going to have to look at alternatives. Alternatives could be partnerships. Okay? Another alternative could be seller finance. Come on now, y'all. Another alternative would be subject to. Now, let me explain to y'all with this one. The property is still in the owner's name. That's why I don't like that one. So I'm just going to erase it. We don't want that one. Now, I've done some seller finance deals for clients where we still make sure that the seller is protected and is recorded, and the seller is like the bank, right? And the individual that's buying it is the one that is making that payment. And if they don't make the payment, the seller can come back. Now, the reason why you want to do that, because it protects you, the buyer, and the seller. When you have that set up, it helps protect both of you. Because guess what? The title company gonna make sure the numbers is right. The lender is gonna make sure the numbers is right. The seller gonna make sure that numbers is right because they want to make sure they get that money. And the buyer is gonna make sure that number is right because they also want to protect the property and say, I have ownership of this property. So you always want to go and make sure that it is documented properly. Okay. I love doing seller financing. Y'all, I don't know if y'all saw my video where we purchased a house off of Facebook Marketplace. And we did a seller financing deal, refinanced it out. And guess what? I had to do the same process as if it was with a regular lender. I still had to have a payoff. I still had to show that we was making payments, all of that, right? But it protected us as the buyer as well as the seller that was setting up this deal for me. I mean, for us, excuse me, because I got, it ain't just me. It's my boo too, my husband too. All right. So the first 30 days, what I want you to do is get pre-qualified. Get your numbers right. All right. Get your credit right. Understand how much money do you got? Where's the money? What's going on? All right. Now, once you've done that, okay, you can come to me. Come to anybody. You can come to me or whoever. I don't care. Come to me. I got you. Because we're doing this long term. This ain't just a one thing. We got to build your portfolio out, right? So whether it's me or another lender, the next 30 days, you're going to do acquisition. Right? Those next 30 days, you're going to be looking for a property. Because you know your pre-qualification, right? Now, working with a mortgage broker, and I can only speak for me because I am me, right? We'll sit down and make sure you actually got the money and you got what you need to actually acquire a property. We're not just about to go out here and just willy-nilly and stuff. Because when you get submitted to a lender, you got to know your numbers. But if you don't, you want to work with a professional that can make sure you got your numbers right before you actually go to a lender. All right? This is what you got to understand. So during them 30 days, get your stuff together. See what you have. Those next 30 days, go out and find that property. Now, it may take you 30 to 60 days, right? This is a timeline. So it may take you 30 to 60 days to find that property. But when you do, it don't take no more than more or less 2 weeks with a commercial loan. Now, the reason why I say 2 weeks is because, please, y'all, this is an investment. Do not go out there buying no property and you ain't do no title search. I'm going to tell y'all something. You can buy a property and they'll give you the option. Oh, you want to do a title search? You say, oh, no, I'm good. Now, with a lender, you're going to have to do a title search because one of the things they're going to find out, is there any other liens on this property? Right? They're going to do that. So you, yourself as an investor, you definitely want to make sure that is part of your strategy. All right. So after that, it ain't going to take long to close. Okay. Now, your next 30 days is spent in a renovation, and that's where the renovation starts. Now, please do not think since you close, I told y'all, you got to have the numbers together. You should know what this is, and you should already have this together. Do not expect your general contractor to manage your budget for you. You need to do that yourself. If you don't know how to do it, then you need to get in Wealthy Family Network. I'm joking, but well, I'm serious. But seriously though, you got to know how to manage your own budget, and this is where knowing how to count matters. If you don't know how to count, you're gonna lose money even during this portion, right? You can lose money during the renovation stage if you are not properly doing what you need to do to make sure everything is done. So when you apply for the lender, it don't take long and you can go ahead and start making your money. Because this can take, if you got it together, honey, 60 to 120 days. So in as little as 3 months, 3 months, in as little as 90 days, you can be done, acquired the property, renovated it, depending on how much damage it is. Remember what I said, the older the house, the more work you got to do. Renovated it and be done, rented and refi. You know what this is called? The BRRRR method. Buy, rehab or renovate, rent, refinance, and you repeat it. Let's add another bar. And you repeat. That's how you can get your first property in 90 days, and you can continue to recycle that money and do it every 90 days. So let's leave with this. Y'all know I love math. Okay? We're going to leave with this. If you tip-top shape and you are happy, you have your system in place, and you acquire a property every 90 days, that's 4 properties in 1 year. Okay? If you did that for 2 years, you will have 8. If you do it for 3, you will have 12. If you do it for 5, you'll have 20. And y'all know we already did the numbers on that. 4 properties in 1 year. Now, I'm going to show y'all something. Let's say those 4 properties are cash flowing you. You say, okay, my criteria as an investor, right? We'll go over that in the boot camp. But my criteria as an investor is I want to make $500. Let's do $350. Okay. $350 per property. That's how much you want to make, right? Let's say this is what I want to make. All right. So each year, how much is that added to your income? So you have 4 times 350. This is profit, y'all. Profit. Okay. That's $1,400 per month. And let's say you did this until you acquired 20 properties. By year 5, you got your 20 properties because you stuck to that system, which are $350 per property. Now you're up to what? 20 times 350, $7,000. Remember what I told you yesterday. Oftentimes, people don't need no more than $2,000 to $7,500 a month, and they good. That's what you got. Let's say, and these are based off our numbers, what we were saying yesterday, y'all. 4 properties, and you also got $25,000 tax-free. Right? Tax-free. That's $100,000 a year. You do that for 5 years. 5 years, you're sitting on $500,000. I mean, you're going to go invest it, but you just collected $100,000 tax-free, and you're making and you did that for 5 years, you walked away with 500,000. Those houses are getting paid off, right? Actually, it's more than that. That's just 4 properties. That's 4, and you do that 5 times. That's $500,000. You collected $100,000 a year for 5 years, and you said, "I'm done with my 20. I'm now making $7,000 a month in income." That's how you can take one investment property in 90 days and buy 4 and make enough money right now, right? This is in 5 years. You stick to the script, 5 years, you'll be at $7,000. And if you feel like that's too long, double up and do it in 2.5 years. So that, my friend, is how you get an investment property in 90 days. All right. So tomorrow, part of our real estate investing for beginners, we will be going live. I will be going live at 12 o'clock. Okay. It's Friday. I know y'all want to have a good time. I would like to have time with my family tomorrow. We're going to live at 12 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. Eastern time. So join me tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be doing, because y'all know I like to tell y'all, it is April 25th. I'm going to be showing you how to invest with little to no money. Okay? Little to no money, which means that we're about to go find the money. So tomorrow, join me at 12 p.m. Eastern time, where I'm going to show you how you can be able to buy investments with little to no money. And if you want to continue this conversation even more, I highly suggest you go to TashanaNicole.com and join me May 26th for the 5-day 100K boot camp, where we really go in depth on your plan for you to build income today and wealth tomorrow. All right, beautiful bosses, I will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Bye.